is cursed. And what I mean by cursed is meaning that you can go on it any time it's open and you're going to have something crazy happen. So I was along this road, and there was another little slot canyon. It was actually, I mean, I could put my hands on both sides of the wall, and you could touch it, not even strain. And I was going through there, and a forest fire had came through like 2 or 3 weeks before. It was controlled. It was a forest fire controlled burn, and I come up on this camp in the middle. There's a little sandbar, and there's this camp, and there's a tent that is shredded to pieces. There's a backpack shredded to pieces. There's a map. There's a shoe, pair of pants, a tank top. It's just shredded, like you took it through a shredder.
Oh my gosh.
You just shredded the hell out of it. And sitting right in the middle of the camp is a Nalgene bottle. And I'm
what
like,
bottle?
Nalgene bottle, a water bottle.
Yeah.
And all around it is burned, and it's just one patch of just grass, nothing there, was not even touched. And so I'm thinking, okay. So I get my satellite phone out, call the ranger. I said, hey, have you ever missing reports of people? No, not lately. I said, well, let me send you a picture, send you a GPS link of where this is at. I've got something under his shoulder. He said, it's not a body. I said, no, it's not a body. It's just odd. So I send it to him. He calls me back. He said, stay there. I'm coming. So I hear him, and I waited like an hour and 30 minutes. It was freaky the more I sit there seeing this. And he gets there, gathers it all up. He says, thank you for letting me know about this, and leaves. And I'm like, what?
No investigation?
Wait. No, nothing. He said, I said, hold on a second. I said, somebody died here? No, nobody's died here. I'm just cleaning it up. Never did hear anything else from this guy. This guy got transferred to Washington State 2 weeks later. Never heard from him. I've emailed him 1,000 times. Yeah, and I've went back to that place 2 or 3 times. And it's odd because one thing with these creatures is they'll watch you from the ridges, and they'll peek their head over.
Right.
And I mean, flip on me. I still don't know what had happened. There was no blood. There was just nothing. It was like you took all this equipment, camping equipment, and just put it through a shredder, and it was just deposited there. And he didn't seem too surprised, and it made me think. Has this happened before? Because there's a lot of roads in the national forest. They close at certain times and they open at certain times, and then sometimes they open and close them, and they don't tell anybody. It's just it happens. There's no rhyme or reason, and that was another one off that road. And actually, off that road, every year I go to this road when it opens up. There's this old car parked on there. Every time, and whenever there's this old car parked there, I hear a god-awful scream, and to me, it sounds like a werewolf. It sounds like somebody has transformed into a werewolf and is screaming their head off, and it's loud, and it's very scary. And when that cart's not there, I don't see this. I don't hear this thing, So this road's definitely something. Yeah. To me, to be honest with you, I think it's. I don't think I'm crazy. I think somebody's either. I feel so crazy saying this. Somebody's going out there and either transforming into something, and I don't know. I have a lot of crazy theories about what that is.
Where is that? Which forest is that?
Talladega National Forest.
Thank you. We had a question about that from Bruce, from Brian Bruce and Chad. So,
but there's a lot of Indian. There's an Indian function a lot of people in Alabama don't know about, which is a standing rock that's usually 6 to 8 feet tall. It's real thin, and it looks like a giant grave in the woods. There is a number of them, and it's like an Indian pictograph, but there's no markings on it, but it is made by Native Americans. There's a lot of them in the Talladega National Forest that people do not realize is out there, and they usually have a lot of weird energy around them, too.
Do you carry things to measure anomalies? Like, I'm not a great big K2 person, but sometimes they're fun, and it's really cool when you can get something to respond to questions, then it appears to be intelligent when that's happening. But with the energies and stuff, what would you use out in the wilderness to measure
I
energy levels
use
and stuff besides your body?
I use an EMF reader, and I also just use a regular compass. And a lot of times I pay real attention to what my camera is doing. I know that's not a scientific instrument, but I've noticed in a lot of my videos when there's these creatures around or where there's some energy source, my camera acts really weird. It got to the point where I sent my camera off to Panasonic company and got them to check it out. They send it back to me. They say there's nothing wrong with your camera.
Wow.
That's pretty much the indicators. When I'm filming and I see a little glitch, and when I'm turning, and when I've shot 10 other videos and nothing's ever happened, I usually watch there. There's been some of these places in Tony National Forest, I've got my compass out, and it just spins. I mean, it don't spin slow, it spins fast.
Right.
Actually, I have an Owen. You could actually put it to your ear and hear it whirling around.
Holy wow.
Yeah, that happens quite a bit. And this area that I'm talking about, this Forest Service Road that is so weird, it has real weird patterns with the wind. I camp out there a lot with my wife and the kids, and you'll hear the wind to be like, and then it stops, just
dead stops.
Like dead stops. It turns it off, and then it'll come back maybe a minute, 2 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes later, and be. It's almost like you take a light switch and you just cut it off, just off, and then you turn it back on. It has some real weird wind patterns. I will leave recorders out there, audio recorders out there, and they'll record for 3 weeks at a time usually, just to get a sampling of what's in the area. And I'll hear, the strangest sound I hear out there is, it sounds like there's a castle gate opening. And you hear it, and then you hear it stop.
Wow.
It's almost like a gate, like the earth is opening up, and then it's closing. It's almost like if you went to a bunker like at NORAD and they opened the door, it sounds just like that. I've got hundreds of them recordings like that, and it's always accompanied with weird wind patterns. You know, this has nothing to do with Bigfoot or ghosts. This is just crazy sounds that you hear in the woods, you know. And then I go out there with my family, camp, and nothing happens. You know, it's just, what's going on here, you know? So,
maybe they respect you and protect your family.
Maybe so. It's just...
because I would...
You know, in the main... Go ahead, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I was interrupting you, but I was just going to say that, you know, it's odd sometimes when you go to some place where you've had anomalous happenings and you're picnicking or you're, you know, fishing with your kids or you're doing things. Does it ever cross your mind that they could just come up to you?
Yeah. I know I know they usually won't do that. That's the one thing that gets me by.
Right.
I mean, I've got 220 videos, not counting the times that I did not film, and then just private stuff that I do for people. They're so tuned into survival. I mean, these are the masters of survival. I know they really would not come up to me. There is cases in Alabama, west of Coleman, where these creatures interacted with a group of children over 30 years. The whole family knew that this one creature was there. So it does happen. It's never happened to me, but it has happened, and it has been very documented to happen. The instance in Coleman, this creature, actually, I've seen the footprints of this thing, and it looks like an ape footprint. It's real curved, except it's like 18 inches long, but it looks like it has a hurt foot, and its face, one eye is really lower than the other. And I've talked to the whole family, 15 of them, that saw this thing over a 30-year period, and they thought that maybe this thing, this creature was mentally challenged, I guess would be the politically correct term to say, because it would come out and the little girl would go out and put food on the burn barrel for it, and it would actually come out. Now, the dad was very freaked out by the whole thing and would always run it off.
Right.
So I know that does happen. It does happen. It's never happened with with me or with any of my kids, you know. I mean, so it's possible, very possible.
Well, I think that's just interesting because the fact that the children were comfortable, right?
Right.
And
Right.
then
Oh
the
yeah.
grown-ups just couldn't deal with it. That's the way with a lot of
Yeah.
things, though. Kids are so much more open.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I watch my kid when I'm in the woods with my kids. I watch them a whole lot because I'm always very curious about if they can see things or if they have any experiences. And they haven't really told me. They haven't had any. But they know what Dad does when they go out in the woods, and I take my thermal, and they're like, "Well, let's look at that thermal, Dad. Let's look at that thermal." So I try to watch them to see if there is interaction, and I haven't had any, but that don't mean anything really,
Well, true. But that thermal is going to be a downfall. Not for
Yeah.
us, but for creatures that are trying to hide because they do have body temperature.
Oh yeah.
And you're
Yeah.
finding that to be the case.
Oh yeah, yeah. But you know what? Last winter, I got my first negative thermal hit, and what I'm described as a
Really?
negative thermal. Yes, I got it. I've got it on video. I've got my thermal set to where it shows white hot,
Right?
and so where I'm in the woods, it was. I think it was last November, and it was so cold, and I was out there with John and Bill, and we heard something running, rustling through the woods, and I pull up my thermal. And everything is glowing because it was a good sunny day. But I have this black streak, just goes from right to left, and then jump down into a creek bed and run off. Now with a thermal, that's the opposite of the heat. Is cold. It was extremely cold. It was cold enough that it was black. It wasn't the shape of a person. It was just a black blob. That's the first time ever I've ever seen a negative thermal hit. And I even called the manufacturer of my thermal, said, could this happen? And they're like, yeah, if you see something that is on the far side of the heat field, which would be, instead of heat, it would be extreme cold. And that's one of the first times I've ever seen that on a thermal. It blew me away. Yeah, it's pretty wild. It's never seen anything like it ever again. So it had to have been something extremely cold. Was it a spirit? Maybe it was. I mean, I don't know. I've never seen nothing like it.
Well,
And I went down there and looked. So I thought maybe it was a cave or something, a cave opening, but it wasn't. It would give off heat.
That just is fascinating to me. I want to continue this part of the discussion when we come back, but we are going to take a 2-minute break, and we will catch you on the flip side of this.
Yes, ma'am. Alrighty.
All right.
All right, I'm going to go to the bathroom right quick, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk. only on Paranormal Experience Radio.